Hey folks, welcome back to the Leeds Gamer. Are you a Leeds or a football fan in general? Um, if so, if you'd like to join me as a guest on my new podcast, um, then do please let me know. Did the first one yesterday. It was quite a long one actually, an extended version with Matty, who is a Birmingham fan. Unfortunately, there was an echo on it, so I'm going to have to try and sort that out. That's a technical issue. But I will get that sorted in due course. So yeah, if that's of any interest, do please let me know. And also, all the regular stuff, do please like and hide the video. Do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also, please make sure you've hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. So, with all that being said, I'm depressed. Daniel Farker has reeled off a humongous list of players who are unavailable. And, I mean, in fairness to the list, that missing out list, it includes players that are definitely unavailable and some that are large doubts. It doesn't fill me with any confidence whatsoever. We are missing key players. So starting with the list that's missing out, again, as always, Ilan and Alex will miss out. Unless anything ever happens to Carl or Lucas. But we are missing, so Gabby Gudmundsson is a doubt. Joe Roden is definitely out. Jakob Biol is a doubt. Anton Stack is definitely out. Dan James is definitely out. Noah Okafor is a doubt. I think there was 3 definites and 3 doubts. So I don't know if I've got that right now, having watched Daniel Farker's press conference. Now, if Leeds had a fully fit squad, like they had before the West Ham Cup game, I would be going into this match against Manure with quite a bit of confidence. But with all of those missing players, especially defensively, I am seriously concerned. Now, I haven't looked into the injury status of the players at our next opposition. I've just listed their lineup as being the lineup that, for the majority, has played the most minutes this season. I really couldn't care less about them. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. I wish they didn't exist. Unfortunately, they do, and so, unfortunately, this is the kind of lineup that I think we may face. There are 1 or 2 exceptions. Dorgu has played a lot. Dorgu's played more than Maguire, so there's a possibility they might put Dorgu in there in some capacity. There's a handful of others that have played just under 1,000 minutes that aren't in that lineup. But again, I don't know their injury status or suspension status, and I couldn't care. I'm not wasting time looking into that. I'm not going on that website or any site that has anything to do with them. They're the one team I just refuse to look into. So I apologise. I feel so bad about the Leeds situation right now that I just don't have the motivation to look into anything to do with our next opposition. Plus, I've just received some bad news. Yet another job application that I've applied for, I've been rejected. So I'm not in the best of moods right now, so I do apologise. But life's hitting me quite hard at this moment in time. So, move on from that. I'm not going to depress you any further. So in terms of Leeds' lineup, with all of them missing players, there has to be a situation where we're going to be dipping into the under 21s. I don't see any other way around it at all. So I've had to include Jayden Leonu, the left back, and centre back Jacob Howard, and centre back / defensive midfielder Alfie Cresswell, because quite frankly there's just no other option. Unless any of those defensive reinforcements in the missing out column come back, there is absolutely no option. We have to add a couple of them. And I did hear recently that a couple of those young lads have been training with the first team, so maybe that's why. It's in preparation for them being back up. So, with that being said, the subs bench is as follows. Lucas Perry will be on the bench, as he's basically become our cup goalkeeper. The defence is literally all kids, because we don't have any backup defenders now. So, with that being said, we've got full-back Jayden Leonu, a couple of centre-backs in Jacob Howard and Alfie Cresswell. I nearly debated between Jacob Howard and right-back Louis Dudley. Louis possesses a lot of pace. But I remembered either reading or hearing something that Leonu, Howard and Cresswell have all been, and Chadwick for that matter, have all been training with the first team. So there is a possibility, if there was going to be one possible change on that bench, that you take out one of those defenders and you put Reece Chadwick in there. That's another possibility. But the reason I didn't is because of the lack of defenders we've got available, and also the fact that we do still have plenty of midfield availability, albeit Reece Chadwick is more of a 10, kind of an attacking midfielder. So either way, the rest of the bench, you see, again, I'm not too sure how Farke will go about this. I think with the injuries and with the number of players unavailable, especially defensively, there is every chance that Ilya Gruev may play ahead of Ao Tanaka. However, Farke said in his press conference, when he was asked about how do you go about taking on Manchester United, well, he said, well, you've got to be brave, you can't just sit back and defend. Well, if you can't just sit back and defend, then you don't play with a defensive lineup. Just my common sense kicking in there. But despite Farke saying that in his press conference, I think there's every chance Ilya Gruev starts ahead of Ao Tanaka, because Farke is going to be shitting himself as to how our basically backup defence ends up doing. So, with all this being said, and again, there's a couple of adjustments that we could make to that lineup in the first 11, which I'll come to in a second. But the first of those possible changes is Gruev instead of Tanaka. The rest of the bench then would look like Longstaff. But he was asked in the press conference about whether or not his progress, and Farke said that he's doing okay in training. He was quite close to being in the squad for the West Ham game. So I think that again, because of certain players coming in and certain players not being available, that maybe there'll be a spot on the bench for Facundo on this one. And then completing the bench is Wilfred Gnonto, who's been playing quite well in his last couple of appearances, and then Joel Pirot. Now this is on the basis that the first 11 ends up being the first 11 that I've just put out here now. So the first 11 for Leeds would look like Caldalo in goal, Jayden Bogle at right wing back, Sam Byram would have to come in at left wing back, But with Sam Byram having not been trusted hardly at all this season, it would not surprise me if James Justin was to go in at left wing back. And then we have a defence of Seb Bornau, Ethan Ampadu and Pascal Struijk. And if we do that, then that potentially brings Gruev in to partner Outanaka in midfield. But again, it depends on how Daniel Farke wants to go about this. But that is another option. But I've gone with putting players in their as close to their natural positions as possible. So Jayden Bogle, right wing back, Sam Byram, left wing back, centre back trio of James Justin, Seb Bornau and Pascal Struijk. Midfield of Ethan Ampadu and Outanaka, with Brendan Aronson playing further forward in the attacking midfield role, with two up front in Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Mecha. Now, again, I doubt very much so that Daniel Farke will go with two up front. If he goes with those three, in Aronson, Calvert-Lewin and Mecha, he will have DCL as the 9, and he will have Aronson and Mecha just behind him, which we already know doesn't work. But Farke persists with it anyway. So, yeah, I'll be brutally honest, I'm pissed off. If we didn't have these players unavailable, I think we could give this Bunch a right game. I really do. But with so much defensive unavailability, I think we're going to get beat. Coming away with a draw now would be one of our best results of. Well, I would put it down as our best result of the season that's not a win. When you put it in context, the number of players unavailable. And I don't get how we can go from having a fully available squad, literally just one game ago, and now, after one cup game, we have got possibly all these players unavailable. 6 outfielders potentially unavailable for this match. And 2 or 3 of them unavailable until probably May, which means that they're going to be out for at least 3 weeks, which is the majority of the remainder of the season. The only chance of them coming back before the end of the season is likely to be West Ham in the league. And if we get to the final of the FA Cup. Tiny possibility of the game before West Ham. Tiny. I mean, the cup match against Chelsea, I mean, I could really see I know that the club's going to Wembley and everything, but I could really see a backup 11 being put in place. The league is the priority. The only way that we put out our strongest side for that Wembley match now is if we pick up some points in the league between now and then. It's the only way. If we've lost a couple of games, I mean, again, the crucial league games we have remaining are the home games against Wolves and Burnley. If we pick up the 2 wins out of that gives us 6 points on top of what we've got. We're on 33. It'd give us 39, and there's a chance we stay up on 39. Doesn't guarantee it. I think we need 40 for guaranteed. If we got relegated on 40 points or more, then there needs to be an inquiry. That's about all I can say on that. So for the opposition, as I say, I've gone with the majority of the players that have played the most this season. So Laman's in goal, Dallett and Shaw at full back, Yoro and Maguire at centre back. As I say, there is a case for Dorgu to come in instead of one of those full backs, but you know, it's about the number. I've just put in the ones that have played the minutes this season. Midfield, I've gone with I've kind of gone with like a 4-3-3 with this bunch. So Casemiro, Fernandes, and Diallo as the midfield three, but there is an argument for Manure, who could come in for one of those. And then up front, Sesko, Mbemu, and Connor. I didn't really see a striker that would potentially come in instead of any of those, not from what I could tell with the number of minutes played. Xerxes played the most out of the other strikers, I think, so he would probably be the main possibility for that, I guess. But yeah, that is it, folks. I'm going to leave it there. I'm feeling so deflated after watching that Daniel Farke press conference. The lads are going to have to put in the beastiest of performances, and as I say, if we come away with a draw, it will be arguably the best draw that we've pulled off all season, due to the number of injuries that we currently have. So, just crossing fingers that we don't get walloped, because I have a horrible feeling with those missing players. I have a horrible feeling we're going to get walloped, because it's not just the defence. You know, like as vitally important as Gudmundsson and Rodon are, and Beal, you know, Stack has been equally as important in the midfield, and Okafor has shown at times how effective he can be, and Dan James with that raw pace, you know, when he's available and fit and firing. You know, all six of those players have got qualities that they can bring to the table, and there's a chance we don't have any of them. There is still a chance that three of them may make the bench. But I wouldn't envisage that any of those six outfielders in the missing out column make the starting 11. Not based on what Daniel Farke has just said in his press conference. Now, as I say, he said, you know, he got asked about how do you go about taking on Man United at their ground, and it's you've got to be brave and you've got to attack. You can't just sit back and defend for 90 minutes. Well, then put out a lineup that's going to do that then. Because if you put it, let's say for example that he puts out a lineup where Sam Byron would drop out, James Justin would go to wing back, and he puts Ethan Ampadu at centre back along with Bornau and Strauch, and then he puts Gruev in midfield with Tanaka, and possibly even puts Longstaff in instead of Aronson. You know, or Mecha for that matter, and he ultimately plays with one up front. I have a horrible feeling he'll do that, because Farke has done that kind of thing before now. He's played with what on paper looks like quite an offensive lineup, to only then tell him to play defensively, or he changes the lineup at the last second and puts out a defensive lineup. So, yeah, I wish I could feel positive about this one, but I really can't. And I hate losing against these buggers. I despise it. They are scum. And I do not want to get a negative result against these buggers. But as much as I hate to say it, they're currently third in the league. And we're 15th. And we've got a shed load of injuries. So, there we go. Anyway, do please do all that good stuff I mentioned earlier. And again, if you are interested in joining me on the Leeds Gamer podcast, do please let me know. Again, apologies for being so negative here, folks. I just feel really deflated. But in the meantime, have a good one, folks. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.